All right, so we're going to move on to 9.2. We're going to talk about area and volume. I'm still trying to keep these videos a little bit on the shorter side so that you can practice and then watch the next one. This one might be a little bit longer depending on how we do this. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is population density. And all population density is a formula. We want to take the number of people or the population and divide that by the area of the land that the people are living on. All right. So depending on how big the area is, depends on how densely populated it is. So is something like Orlando, Florida, has a certain population density, but we're pretty spread out. Where if you could have the same number of people in a very smaller area, like in New York City, and it's very, not as open. So try to think of it like that. So for example, one, if we want to look at it, the population of California is 39,144,818. Okay, and its area is 163,695. So we take this population divided by the area, which is 163,695. That's all we do. Okay, we go ahead, and when we go ahead and throw that in the calculator, we get 239.1, and this represents people per square mile. Okay, and that's all population density is the number of people occupying a certain radius. In this case, it's miles. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and I'll let you go ahead and work on example 2 by yourself. So you'll be comparing two different ones and seeing which one is the more population dense. And that one's kind of fun to do. It's Ohio and Illinois. We're going to go ahead now and look at square units of measure, because now we just talked about square mile. We're going to go ahead and move on to the English system of square units of measure. Okay, so we have a couple different square units, and all a square unit is if I have this area of land right here, okay, and I want to go ahead, and each of this, we'll say, is 1 foot here, and this is a square, so if that's 1 foot, this is 1 foot, right? And we multiply those two things. So 1 feet times 1 feet gives me 1 feet squared, and that squared represents square units, okay? It's just because our unit times unit is unit squared. Okay, so area is always done in square units. In our square units, if I have 1 square foot, and I'm going to do some abbreviation, the chart is on page 75, okay, for your viewing pleasure, then it's equal to 144 square inches. Okay. 1 square yard, or yard squared, I'm going to start abbreviating a little bit, is equal to 9 feet squared, or square feet. 1 acre, many of you heard of the term acre, acres of land. Okay, so 1 acre is equal to 43,560 feet squared, or 4,840 yards squared. Okay, so acre's kind of a weird unit of measure. All right, and we have 1 square mile, or mile squared, and that's going to be equal to 640 acres. And I have no idea where the whole term acres came from, but it'd be fun if you wanted to go ahead and Google that and see where that came from. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and look at example 3, which is on page 75 also. And it says the National Park Service administers approximately 84 million acres of national parks. How large is this in square miles? So I have 84 million acres. I'm going to put that over 1, just like we've been doing. And 1 square mile, or miles squared, however you want to write it, is equal to 640 acres. And when I go ahead and put that in my calculator, I end up with 2,358 miles squared. Make sure that you're putting the squared. That's very important that you go ahead and get that done. All right. Moving on to page 76, I'll leave the other one for you to try. English and metric conversions for area. So we have an equivalence chart that's on page 76 of your booklet. All right, and I'm going to look at example 5, and we're going to just do a few quick conversions here. And I'll end this video so you can practice a little bit, and then we'll move on to the last part of this. All right, so I want to find, I have a property in Northern California is on the market for $415,000 for 1.8 acres. Okay, and I want to find the area of property in hectares. Okay, let's do that. So I have 1.8 acres. And I'm going to put that over 1. And my, for hectares is 0.4 hectares, HA, is the equivalent of 1 acre. Okay. My acre units cancel out. I'm left with my hectares, and I just have to multiply 1.8 times 0.4 to get my hectares, and I end up with 0.72 hectares. Okay, that's part 1 of example 5. Part B is I want to know the price per hectare. Okay, so I take the price, which is $415,000, and I'm going to divide it by the number of hectares I have. Okay,